Sudan, a country in northeast Africa, is once again at the center of a devastating conflict. What began as a power struggle between two rival military leaders in 2023 has turned into one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. To understand what is really happening in Sudan, we must look at its history, the roots of the current war, the key players involved, and the consequences for millions of civilians. 1. A country with a long history of conflict. Sudan gained independence from Britain and Egypt in 1956. Since then, it has experienced repeated military coups, civil wars, and political instability. For decades, Sudan was ruled by authoritarian regimes. One of the most controversial leaders in Sudan's modern history was Omar al-Bashir. He came to power in a military coup in 1989 and ruled for nearly 30 years. During his time in power, Sudan faced international sanctions, internal rebellions, and accusations of war crimes, especially in the Darfur region. In 2003, violence erupted in Darfur when rebel groups accused the government of discrimination and neglect. The government responded with brutal force, allegedly supporting militias known as the Janjaweed. Hundreds of thousands of people were killed and millions were displaced. In 2009, the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for al-Bashir on charges of genocide and crimes against humanity. 2. The 2019 revolution. By 2018, Sudan's economy was collapsing. Inflation was soaring, food prices were rising, and corruption was widespread. Mass protests erupted across the country. In April 2019, after months of demonstrations, the military removed Omar al-Bashir from power. Many Sudanese people hoped this would lead to democracy. A transitional government was formed, made up of both civilian leaders and military officials. The goal was to guide Sudan toward democratic elections. But beneath the surface, tensions were growing. 3. The two powerful generals. The current conflict centers on two men: Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, head of the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF; Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, leader of the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, commonly known as Hemeti. After Bashir's removal, both men became key figures in Sudan's transitional leadership. In 2021, they carried out another coup, dissolving the civilian-led government and taking full control. This move angered many Sudanese citizens and the international community. Protests returned, demanding civilian rule. However, negotiations to restore democracy stalled. The main issue? Power. 4. What are the Rapid Support Forces, RSF? The RSF is a powerful paramilitary group that evolved from the Janjaweed militias active during the Darfur conflict. Over time, it became an official security force but remained loyal to its leader, Hemeti. Unlike the regular army, the RSF developed its own financial networks, including control over gold mines in Sudan. This gave the group enormous economic power. The tension between the Sudanese armed forces and the RSF increased when discussions began about integrating the RSF into the regular army. Questions arose. Who would lead the unified forces? How quickly should integration happen? Who would control Sudan's security apparatus? These disagreements exploded into open war. 5. War breaks out, April 2023. In April 2023, fighting erupted in the capital city of Khartoum. Gunfire, airstrikes, and explosions shook residential neighborhoods. The SAF and RSF began battling for control of key infrastructure. Airports, government buildings, military bases, television stations. The conflict quickly spread beyond Khartoum to other regions, especially Darfur, where old ethnic tensions resurfaced. 6. Humanitarian catastrophe. The war has devastated Sudan's civilian population. Millions of people have been forced to flee their homes. Some have escaped to neighboring countries such as Chad, Egypt, South Sudan, Ethiopia. Others remain trapped inside Sudan without access to food, water, electricity, or health care. Hospitals have been bombed or shut down. Markets have collapsed. Banking systems barely function. Aid organizations warn of famine conditions in several areas. Children are among the worst affected. Schools are closed, and many families cannot afford basic necessities. Malnutrition is rising rapidly. The United Nations has described Sudan as one of the world's fastest-growing displacement crises. 7. Darfur. History repeating itself in Darfur. The situation is especially alarming. Reports suggest that ethnic violence has returned on a large scale. Civilians have described attacks, looting, and targeted killings. The RSF, which traces its origins to the Janjaweed, has been accused of carrying out atrocities in some areas. Entire villages have been burned. Many observers fear that Sudan is sliding back into the kind of violence that shocked the world in the early 2000s. 8. International involvement. The conflict in Sudan is not isolated. Regional and global powers have interests in the country. Sudan has strategic importance because of its location along the Red Sea. It also has valuable resources, including gold and agricultural land. Various foreign governments have been accused of supporting one side or another, either politically, financially, or militarily. However, international mediation efforts have struggled to produce lasting ceasefires. Organizations such as the African Union and the United Nations have attempted peace talks, but multiple ceasefire agreements have collapsed within days. 9. Why has peace been so difficult? There are several reasons why ending the conflict has proven so hard. 1. Power struggle. Both generals want to control Sudan's future. Neither side appears willing to give up authority. 2. Economic interests, control over gold mines, trade routes, and state resources plays a major role. The RSF's independent wealth makes it less dependent on the state. 3. Weak civilian leadership. Sudan's civilian political groups remain divided. Without a unified civilian front, military leaders have maintained dominance. 4. Regional rivalries. Neighboring countries have their own security and economic concerns, complicating mediation efforts.